You know, sometimes it is a kick just having the media pick apart a president-elect, and the media, of course, picking apart Donald Trump on whether he really did anything magical, a carrier, arguing that the company was not going to let these 1,000 jobs go to Mexico, that other jobs are going to Mexico. Bottom line is the president-elect picked up the phone, talked back and forth with the head of carrier, talked to United Technologies, its parent company, and those 1,000 jobs aren't going. Now, we can pick apart the details of that, but that's a little weird. That's unprecedented, actually, for a president-elect. And so those 1,000 jobs are saved. But when the media goes overboard to talk about the wealth of a cabinet to come, and that it's going to be populated by billionaires, and that'll be the richest cabinet ever, the richest president ever. And it didn't say the same when, let's say, FDR was in office, pretty rich guy, very rich cabinet. The last richest cabinet was also under John Kennedy, a Democrat. So he thinks that maybe they just make a big deal when it involves a Republican, because I looked up in history here, they did the same when Ronald Reagan was selecting his cabinet, filled with Merrill Lynchers and the rest at the time. So they pick their battles, I guess, depending on the party. Enter Charlie Gasparino, of course, bipartisan SOB.
Yeah, hate them all equally.
You hate them all equally. What do you make of that? It's kind of interesting.
I mean, it's pathetic, because Hillary Clinton became a millionaire in a very short period of time, just purely through crony capitalism, you know,
right.
Speeches.
Leveraging an office.
And leveraging that foundation, which kicked her back a salary and all, and leveraging her work.
So humor us and report on that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, we did.
No, you did. I'm
right.
just saying, it is so interesting, like even this air conditioning. And there are a lot of legitimate points of this air conditioning thing, but I got to tell you,
it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
Why are we arguing about this? First off, it's a brilliant tactically political thing, right?
Absolutely.
It's like he calls up, he does it. Now, obviously, and here's why the company's likely to stay. He and Pence told him, listen, you're going to lose a few bucks by keep staying here and not going to Mexico. You know. Basically, they know that. It would shave, I think, 2 cents off the quarterly earnings. Because
is that right?
Yeah, I heard that. But you're going to make it up, because we're going to implement free market capitalism once again. You're going to get less regulations. You're going to get lower corporate taxes. We're going to help you make it up. And he sold the case of how the free market and less regulations will work. That, to me, is why I have some confidence in Donald Trump.
You don't look at this like a Tony Soprano phone call. We think it would be a very good idea. I think it was sold on the level that you said.
No, it literally
like
was the level I said it.
Right.
Where Mike Pence is not a Tony Soprano. He's a nice guy. I mean, Mike Pence called up and said, give us a shot, and here's what we're going to do. And they said, listen, okay, the President of the United States is calling. Let's do the numbers.
That's a big deal.
It's only going to cost.
Cannot be overstated.
No. And what can't be overstated is the fact that free market capitalism kept them here. The promise of a more deregulated environment, less taxes. They did the math, because they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, and they said, you know, this is worth the shot if Pence and Trump can deliver on their tax and regulatory agenda.
And they also, no company enjoys bad PR.
No, but
and if you have the President of the United States constantly jawboning about you, threatening tariffs, what I think you and I would agree is a bad idea.
No, it's a bad idea.
This works.
But, Neil, they made a calculated decision here.
I think you are so right.
It's going to cost us 2 cents a share immediately, but if they deliver on their plan for lower taxes and less regulation, and I know this, I've been talking to people about this, we can make it back.
So companies also that would be on the fence about this, if the message is, could you give us some time to implement this stuff, we would make it less incentivized for you to jump out of this country.
If he called up Apple and said, don't build that plant in China, they'd tell him to go take a hike. Because
but now even Apple is considering.
Apple will weigh, in a more deregulated environment, keeping more jobs here. I mean, that's what they will do, just like this one did. And I think that's...
Isn't that where a lot of the money for infrastructure supposedly is going to come from if you wave a wand and incentivize all that money that's held offshore to come back?
You know, listen,
that one seems like a leap to me.
Yes, the infrastructure thing is, listen, I think his tax and regulatory plans are great. The infrastructure thing is mind-bogglingly Keynesian, and it never works. And that's where I think, you know, we're going to have to see where Donald Trump's head is on all this. Does he? I mean, he is populating his cabinet with a lot of.
Oh, that's what I had to ask you real quick before you go. I said this has been bad for all the suck-ups. By that I mean the Rudy Giuliani's, the Chris Christie's, by extent the Newt Gingrich, who maybe didn't get offered at the kind of position that he wanted. And instead they're going, I'm not saying to non-loyalists, but to those who were not sucking up.
Well, they went to Wilbur. He's a big-time,
Absolutely.
he sucked up kind of, right?
But he was an establishment guy in the beginning who was
Establishment.
not keen on Trump.
Right.
I'm not trying to fault any of this. I am just saying that what does this tell
Well,
us?
look at Scaramucci, perfect example, our friend, right? Anthony Scaramucci, former Goldman guy, initially backing Walker, and then going to Jeb, I believe.
That's right.
Being attacked by Donald Trump as a hedge fund guy. Remember, he went nuts on him.
Now they're going to be Goldman guys a go-go.
And now the Goldman guy, Anthony Scaramucci, hedge fund guy, is in the inner circle.
What about Cohn? Is he in, out for Olympia?
I'm just going to tell you what I heard, and this is non-confirmed. Gary Cohn has wanted out of Goldman for a long time because he wants to be number one.
He's the president and COO,
but he wants to replace Lloyd Blankfein.
Right.
He did have a meeting there. I heard he's not like a high-level choice for that job.
Really?
Listen, he's so liberal. He was one of Wall Street's initial backers of Barack Obama. Now, he may get the job, but the word I got last night was, you know.
Well, that's what they mean by you're not draining the swamp, because you're populating it with swampy guys.
You know, there's a lot of contradictions in Donald Trump.
Indeed.
And
a riddle wrapped in a conundrum, as are you.
Yes. And, well, I'm not from the swamp.
No. No.
You know, but think about it.
You've never forgotten the swamp.
That's right. Remember, Goldman, well, you know, Italians buried people in the swamps. Back in Jersey, you know that.
Yeah, sure, fine.
Mooch, Goldman. Wilbur Ross, big-time billionaire financier. Yeah. Gary Cohn, Goldman. Mnuchin, Goldman.
In history.
This is Goldman Sachs coming back to life. I thought they're like...
It's a reunion party.
They're like Jason. Remember Jason?
Yes,
He kept killing it and
yes,
kept coming back.
Look at the time. Charlie Gasparino. Fun stuff.